What is going on, DOYO Lavers? My name is Ross Morrone. I'm the Director of Marketing at Youngstown State University. I'm also a faculty member at Brandeis University in Boston, and I'm a partner in a startup downtown in Youngstown called Foodecrave, foodecrave.com. I'm a partner there. I kind of do the marketing, social media aspects there. And I am also the creator of the This Is Marketing podcast, where I talk about all things marketing, analytics, data, advertising, branding, just any topic that I think is interesting to me. So today, I only have 5 minutes-ish, so today what I want to talk about is how you build audience profiles and better content funnels. So when you're using social media or anything, even your website, there's a lot of data that's being collected every day, and I don't know that a lot of people really pay attention to the analytics side of this. You do a post, you see there's some numbers to it. So how do you really look at those numbers? And what kind of actionable metrics can you pull from those and then implement back into your content strategy? So the first thing is knowing that you have analytics. So on every platform, Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat even now, if you're doing filters on Snapchat, they have a whole analytic platform to show you how that kind of stuff performs. Twitter, I think I mentioned one of these. So looking at analytics from each of these is going to tell you about the audience on each platform. The key is knowing that not every platform has the same audience. So what you're doing on Instagram and who you're reaching could be a lot different than the type of people you're reaching on Facebook. And the reason for this is because there's different people using those platforms. What we always see is the audience kind of shifts a little bit. So when we saw parents maybe move into, especially at Youngstown State, when we saw parents gravitate towards Facebook or even Twitter, you saw a lot of students get off of that, and then they shifted over to Instagram, and then they shifted over to Snapchat. So for us, we're always kind of chasing that audience. But what's nice is there's always an audience left behind. And for any of us that sell products or services, it's important for us to know those audiences and where they're at, and then how we could tap into them. So looking at your analytics, what do you do with this data? So every platform, including Google Analytics, is going to have metrics about the audience members. We're going to know gender, we're going to know location, we're going to know age. Those three things right there are going to help us build kind of a profile of who we're attracting. Now, I like to break these down on 2 levels. We're going to look at the brand level, and we're also going to look at product and service level, because on a website, we have pages, obviously, that have different pieces of content. We may be talking about a piece of content that we sell. We may be just talking about our brand in general. When we look at the analytics behind those, we're able to break that down. So I may have a certain population, especially if I look at the Foodecrave side of this business that I'm in, I may have a certain audience that buys bacon from us, and it may be people that are buying bacon as gifts, and if that's the case, well, maybe it's women, and maybe the women are somewhere in between the ages of 35 and 45, and they're buying this as gifts. So what we would do is build an actual marketing program that target women, knowing that they're buying those gifts. As a brand, maybe we're looking for just people that are interested in cooking, foodies, anyone that's around the cooking spectrum. So we're able to have that brand level audience, and we're also have that real granular level audience for the programs and for the specific products that we sell. So look at your analytics and start to break that out. When we look at things like Facebook and we look at things like Instagram, we're getting a general overview of the audience. We're able to see who likes our page. It's going to tell us the same things: gender, age, location, and those things are important. But what's even more important is looking at the content you're putting out. So when we talk about content funnels, we're talking about what content do we actually post every day, and then who engages with it, and how does that funnel into what we're ultimately trying to get them to do. So is there a call to action at the end of our funnel? You see an ad or you see a post on Facebook, you click it, you read it, and then you go through to the website, and then we're selling something to you. So right there, we're trying to get you down this funnel to ultimately make a purchase or sign up for something, get a newsletter, whatever it is. So we want to look at our content structure the same way that we look at our audiences. We want to treat each piece of content to know that on Facebook, and we're talking about audiences again, on Facebook, they really engage with photos over video. So we want to produce more photo content on our Facebook page. On Instagram, maybe it's opposite. Maybe they aren't engaging with photos a lot, but they're really watching our videos, and they're commenting and liking, and maybe hopefully clicking our profile link and getting into that funnel. So as you start to do this over time, and time is a big variable this, you have to really look at time and say, how over time does this impact what we're doing? And when you do that correctly, you'll start to get better content streams. So after maybe 3 or 4 months of doing things like this, you come back and say, on Facebook, we know that we're posting photos. We know that we're talking about this certain product or service. That links in our website. The website gets them to a call to action, and then they're done. When we look at Twitter, we might say, on Twitter, we do a tweet with a link. That really works for us. We put a bunch of these hashtags. These hashtags work the best for our brand on this platform. We're always going to do that. Same with Instagram, same with Snapchat. Maybe you have higher engagement and higher interactions on Snapchat with certain type of posts or videos that you're doing. So we're building a content strategy that's really, really based around the audience that we're using. So this data needs to always be looked at, and know that the data is going to change. The way people use platforms is always going to change. 3 years ago, we weren't talking about Snapchat as part of our digital marketing strategy, and now we are. Now we're making filters and placing them around events, and we're placing them around our brand or where people can buy our brand so they can interact with it digitally and share that with their audiences as well. So these platforms change, which means the data changes and the audience changes. So don't get stagnant with saying, okay, I figured out Facebook and that's it, we're going to do this forever. You have to look at it over time and say, how can we do a better job of this, and how can we mature it over the time of what we do? When you look at analytic data on your website, this is the same idea. We got to look at what we post. If we're blogging or if we're actually producing content to try to get more views to our website that then fall into a sales funnel, how do we do this in a way that's really allowing people to engage with the content? And the analytics behind this, which is Google Analytics, or there's other different platforms, but Google Analytics to me is probably the best and most popular, mainly because it's free. Look at the data behind the page, the time on page. With Foodecrave, we get a lot of traffic for our recipes. So more than even some of the products we put out, we might put out a recipe about how to cook something, and that's generating all the search traffic for us. So we want to make sure on whatever it is we're explaining how to cook, we have links to the actual products of our site, so we could track that and see how it does. When you look at analytics from a whole on your website, you're looking at content that says, what's the best content? If it's recipes, then we're definitely going to write more recipes. If it's a certain product, then maybe we're going to mature that product. Maybe we're going to offer a variable of that product. To help, you got to give the audience what they want. The nice thing about doing something like Facebook Live is we know that this is a new medium. It's on an old platform, but it's a new medium for us to use. Going live and giving some value to the audience has some real impact on the audience, and it keeps them coming back for more. Knowing that Dennis, and thank you Dennis for letting me do this, knowing that Dennis said we're going to do this all 5 days this week, it's going to keep you coming back. Now we are doing it at different times, but it gives you the opportunity to even come back after I record live to come see what we're doing. So analytics is going to tell us a lot about these videos and say, okay, how did this work? How did the audience really look at this video, and what did they react to it? Was it effective? Wasn't it effective? So when we look at all of our content pieces across all of our social platforms, you have to develop strategies for each, know that they're allowed to be different, know that you need to build a persona around that audience so that you could really keep track of them and know what they want from the platform. And then always be willing to change. Always be willing to change the platform or the way you're communicating to people and the value that they're giving you. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. We may offer a service or product, but we have to offer value on social media to get them to engage with us. We can't just keep saying, buy this, buy this, buy this. We need to say, here's the best use of this, and here's how such and such use this. All this week I've been podcasting about Facebook Live and different ways that you can use Facebook Live. I think that what we're seeing is some individuals really tap into this and use it for themselves. I use an example this week where my wife was watching her cousin sell these, I'm going to screw up the name, but it's the La LaRue something or another yoga pants. She did a live show from her house, and what she did is she held up the pair of pants, and this would be just like what they would do on the actual, when they would have a gathering at somebody's house. But she would hold them up, give a number for what that is, because you can only buy one apparently at a time. So she would give the number, and then you would either click on it or say, that's mine. I don't know how, I didn't watch it because I'm not interested in yoga pants. They do not look good on me. And then they would say that that's theirs. But this is, instead of people getting together and having parties, now what they're doing is getting together and doing it on Facebook Live. So it's giving us a new way to generate and produce content based on the way the platform is moving. So that's things that we need to look at. Those are things we need to talk about and keep these conversations going and have questions. So to even give a little more value to this kind of medium here with the Facebook Live is, I'm going to give away some of my time to you, the viewer. So if you're a business out there, or you're someone who's trying to get a business started, or you're trying to build a personal brand, I will give you a few hours of my time. But there's a catch. You actually have to go down below. You have to write in the comments what your business is, where you think you can use some help, or where you think you can utilize my skills to help you with marketing or branding, or just give you some ideas. I'm even willing to look at some of the back-end data about your analytics to help you build a better audience profile. So go ahead and leave a comment below. You have to leave your name, you have to leave a contact, and your business, and why you need some help. And then I'll pick somebody, and to give you more value to that, hopefully in the coming weeks, as I continue to do this for DOYO, maybe we'll use that as one of our sessions to talk about what we're doing and how we're looking at the business. But I'll also do a podcast highlighting your business and what we're doing for each other. So again, thank you, Dennis, for giving me this time to do it. I'm really looking forward to doing this every week. And I appreciate the time. You can go check me out on social media, on Twitter at Ross Morrone. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at This Is Marketing. And you could also just search on your favorite podcasting service and listen to my podcast. It's out daily now and weekly. This is Marketing Podcast. So thanks again, and we'll see you next week.